how easy it is for an Indian student to go to Japan and stay there for 4 years and survive. On top of that, being a vegetarian.
Yeah.
Many students of India, they go to US, UK, Canada, Germany to do their higher studies.
Yeah.
But very few come to Japan. Why do you think that is? I completed my 12th
Yeah.
and I want to study in Japan. What steps should I take so that I can study in Japan with least cost?
From an engineering perspective, I feel like Tokyo, it's in the top 10.
University of Tokyo.
University of Tokyo, it's in the
Mhm.
top 10 in the world as well.
Mhm.
Then there is Tokyo Institute of Technology,
Mhm.
Kyoto University, Osaka University, and then my university,
Tohoku.
Tohoku University. So even if you're not coming to study, come to travel at least once, I believe.
So hi Shripriya,
Hi.
welcome to Exploring Infinity. Can you please introduce yourself?
Okay, so hi everyone, I am Shripriya. I'm a brown girl in Japan and I came to Japan about 2.5 years ago. I came as a MEXT scholar, as a master's student at Tohoku University. And yeah, I've been here for 2.5 years. I'm originally from India. Yeah, and nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you too. So what did you do for bachelor's in India? What did you study? And then why did you want to come to Japan in the first place?
So I studied computer science. I did my BTech in computer science in India. Then in my college, which is IIIT Jabalpur, a lot of people did go to Japan. We had a collaboration with Japan. So a lot of people went as a JICA or a MEXT scholar. That's how I first came to know about the scholarship. And I wanted to come to Japan because two reasons. One, the studies here are research based and I was interested in doing research. And then second, we have great scholarship options. So I thought I had a chance and I gave it a shot.
Because I get many questions based on how to go to Japan, how to study in Japan, because many of my audience are they're fans of anime, they love Japan as a country. So I got a lot of these questions about studying in Japan.
Yeah.
So let's first talk about what is the eligibility for a MEXT scholar. Who all are eligible? Like, is it only BTech or even like physics, maths, chemistry? Are they also eligible or not?
So I believe, in my opinion, everybody is eligible. So MEXT is not only for bachelors, it's for masters and PhD as well as there are other training programs. So anybody who is either in high school or is doing a bachelor's or a master is eligible to come to Japan.
Even high schoolers, like after their high school?
Yeah, they can come as a
Bachelor's
student, yeah, in Japan.
I see. Now, many Indians have this perception that studying in Japan is very expensive because firstly, like people are not aware of the cost of living in Japan. So they feel Japan is very expensive for a student to live in. What are your thoughts about that?
In my opinion, without the scholarship as well, I believe Japan is much cheaper than Western countries, for instance, studying in Europe, UK, or the US. And if you go to a private college in India, then I believe the costs are very similar to studying in Japan in a public university. And on top of that, we also have great scholarship options. So MEXT is one scholarship option, then there's JICA, and you can often apply for tuition fee waivers as well when you become a part of the university. So I believe if you accumulate all of that, it's much cheaper to study in Japan than to study in other countries.
Okay, let's say I am a student. I completed my 12th.
Yeah.
And I want to study in Japan. And let's say I'm interested in computer science. What steps should I take so that I can study in Japan with least cost?
Okay.
Like least.
Yeah. Okay.
And in the best university, let's say.
Okay. So, first of all, MEXT, I can only talk about MEXT Scholarship because I went through that process. If you are a high school student, then there are two options. You can either go through MEXT Embassy recommendation or MEXT University recommendation. So, as the name suggests, MEXT Embassy recommendation is you go through the process by the embassy of Japan. And then in university recommendation, you directly apply to the university. So, my suggestion is for anything, just go on the internet. That's what I did. Search MEXT Embassy recommendation.
Okay.
And for each country, the process is a little different. So you can check the government's website and they will tell you all about it. I applied through MEXT Embassy recommendation, and what I did was I first cleared the screening round. In the screening round, there's an application process which is listed on the university. Okay, then you fill the application, send it to the embassy via email. If you clear the screening, they tell you all about the next steps. So the next steps could be interview or an entrance exam round. They will tell you all about it in great detail in your email. So my suggestion for anyone who wants to come to Japan is just search about the MEXT, go to the website and apply for the first screening round. After that, everything will be clear.
Okay, so first I need to search the universities,
Yes.
fill up their application and send it to the embassy, and then embassy will give you the next steps.
Yeah, so here there are two things. So for the embassy recommendation, you directly submit to the embassy. For the university recommendation, you submit to the university. So the process that I did was embassy recommendation. For university recommendation, you just search Department of Computer Science or Bachelor's in Computer Science and then MEXT University recommendation. So they usually, every university has a slightly different process, and they will tell you all about it on the website. So this is what I did personally. Just all the Google search and everything, and this landed me here.
So I feel many students of India, they go to US, UK, Canada, Germany to do their higher studies,
Yeah.
but very few come to Japan. Why do you think that is?
I think there are two things. One is the language barrier. I feel in US the official language is English, and a lot of Indian people already know English. So for them it's not a barrier to cross. But when you come to Japan, Japanese is very much a part of daily lives of native people in Japan, as you've also lived. So I feel like this is a language barrier that one needs to kind of cross in order to survive in Japan. So a lot of people might be skeptical in the first place to enter Japan. And I believe second is awareness. We've grown up watching all the Western content. So in our head, we fantasize about that life. And I feel like as a kid also, I watched these English shows and I wanted to go to the US. But I never saw Japanese shows or anime. So I never wanted to come to Japan in the first place. So I think the second one is awareness.
Awareness.
Yeah.
And how easy it is for an Indian student to go to Japan and stay there for 4 years and survive. On top of that, being a vegetarian.
Yeah. So coming to Japan is easy if you get the scholarship, and the university department also helped me a lot. So I think coming to Japan is very easy once you enroll in a university. Surviving in Japan is so like you have with any new city in any new country, there are struggles, and like I don't know how to politely say it. But yeah, it's tough in the beginning. For the first 6 months, you'll feel like, oh, what did I do? Why did I come here? I have no friends. But then after 6 months, you're like, oh, I love Japan. Being a vegetarian is also tough. But as long as you know cooking, everything will be fine. And if you live in Tokyo, everything will be fine too, because they have great Indian restaurants. We just had lunch today. And they have great vegan cafes as well. So it's both vegetarian and vegan friendly.
So if you are a vegetarian and you're very skeptical about whether I can survive in Japan or not, you got the answer. You can survive in Japan given that you know cooking.
Yeah, yeah. A little bit.
So being a student, how much money do you need monthly to survive in Japan? How much does the university give you? And how much are your personal expenses?
So I'll give the most diplomatic answer ever. It depends. So it depends on where you live.
Mhm.
I live in Sendai, which is not a big city compared to Tokyo. So the rents are relatively low. In my opinion, in a city other than Tokyo, you can get around 100,000 yen to 120,000 yen as a student. This is like living in an apartment.
In rupees, how much is it approximately?
So it's I think 50, 55,000 rupees. Like at least I think 55,000 rupees you need. So the government gives me around 146,000 yen, which is 80,000 rupees.
80 to 90, yeah.
80 to 90,000
Per month.
rupees per month.
Ooh.
Yes. So this is like I get as a MEXT scholar. For other scholarships, it's different. Also, I'm a master's student. So for masters, it is 146,000. For bachelors, it is 120,000. And for PhD, it's a little more than masters. So around that, I think. And it's more than sufficient to kind of pay all your living expenses and even save a little bit if you live in a city like a smaller city like Sendai. Yeah, for Tokyo, I'm not so sure. The rents are high. So perhaps you can live in a dorm and save money.
So the accommodation is not provided by the university?
No. So they give you monthly expense, and from that expense, you need to pay your rent, like dorm or apartment, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your university, can you give a brief introduction about which university did you study and how was the culture in that university?
So I was a master's student of Tohoku University in Sendai, and I think the culture was quite nice. I did find a little small community of Indian people there, and as soon as I found those people, I was very happy to be in Sendai. Tokyo it's very big for me. It's just a lot of people. So I come here like maybe like for 1 week, and then I miss Sendai and I need to go back. So I really like it. It's not very hodgepodge. And people are very kind, people are nice and respectable. So I really loved the university culture as well as the people in Sendai as well.
And did you feel any language barrier in terms of the courses which you are taking? Are there courses in English or only in Japanese, and how does it work?
I was lucky enough to go into an international lab where we had both Chinese and Japanese people. So in my lab, the environment was pretty international. Every seminar was in English. But whenever we had joint classes with Japanese people, then some of the communication will be in Japanese that I can't follow through. In the courses as well, I felt like 50% of the courses were in English, but the other 50% were in Japanese as well. And I couldn't take those courses even though they sounded interesting. I only took the courses which were provided in English.
Is it same for all the other universities? Like some majority of courses are in Japanese, some are in English?
Yeah, I feel like this is the general structure, but there are some programs in Tohoku University which are completely international. So they're everything in English, and I feel like it's best to first go through the university's website and your program's website. And the second step is to check with your professor. So if you're a master's or a PhD student, just check with your professor if they take international students, what is their policy and what is the policy of the department. That will give you an idea of how international the department really is, I feel.
Right. I also got many questions regarding, can you suggest me some top universities in Japan in which we can apply?
Yeah.
Let's talk from a perspective of an engineering student.
Yeah.
What is your list of, let's say, top 5 universities?
So from an engineering perspective, I feel like Tokyo, it's in the top 10.
University of Tokyo.
University of Tokyo, it's in the top 10 in the world as well. Then there is Tokyo Institute of Technology, Kyoto University, Osaka University, and then my university, Tohoku University. Yeah, there are also Kyushu University and Hokkaido University. They are also
good.
Yeah, they are also pretty popular among the MEXT scholars. Yeah.
Okay. Let's say I learned Japanese beforehand.
Yeah.
I gave N4. or N5 and I
Yeah.
have that certification,
Yeah.
and then I apply to the MEXT with that certification, does it add an advantage to it?
Yeah, I feel like that's a huge plus because
Uh-huh.
they asked me in the interview if I knew any Japanese, and I did not.
Okay.
I learned Japanese after coming here, but I told them in the interview that I'm willing to learn. So if you have the certificate already, it shows your motivation to come to Japan before even applying to the scholarship. So I feel like it's a huge plus. And one more thing, in my I applied in 2020. That time entrance exam was cancelled. But in entrance exam, there are some questions related to Japanese as well. So if you do know Japanese, it can just help you boost your score.
Oh, so there is also an entrance exam for this?
Yeah, after the application process, if you do clear it, then the second process is entrance exam.
So what questions will be there in the entrance exam?
It depends on the subject and the field you're applying to, but they have previous year questions on their website.
So it's technical questions only?
Technical questions plus English and then some Japanese.
Something like quantitative aptitude?
Yeah, like that.
So I hear a lot of times that people ask me, can we find friends in Japan because we don't know language?
Yeah.
So how can we make friends in Japan, either be it Japanese or any other country person? How did you make friends in Japan in the first place?
So two things. One is I made Indian friends, and then second is I met so many international people. So for Indian friends, my recommendation is just go on LinkedIn or Facebook and then you search like Tohoku University. Within the people section, you will find some people who are studying in your university. That's what I did. I randomly reached out. Now he's one of my closest friends in Sendai. I reached out to him and then I just asked every stupid question that came to my mind. Oh, how is Sendai? How is the social life? Are there any clubs? And are there any parties? And he was kind enough to meet me on the very first day I reached Sendai. He helped me move. So the first very step is just find your own people. Find people from your own country because they speak the language, they know the culture, they know what you're going through.
Right.
And the second thing is I met a lot of international people through Japanese classes. So I didn't know any Japanese, they didn't know any Japanese, we shared a common barrier.
Yeah.
And then we enrolled for the Japanese classes. That's how I asked them for lunch. And then like, oh nice, you're cute, you're pretty. And then
Not so brown.
Yeah, and then they're always curious about Indian culture.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'm also always curious about Western culture as well. So I asked them these questions and now we're friends. Yeah. So 2 suggestions.
One more important question is, when you go from a country like India, which has a completely different education system, and to a country like Japan, which has a completely different education system, did you face any challenges in adapting to these different education systems, and what differences did you find in these two countries' education systems?
Yeah, so Shaurya, I did have a difficult journey about my master's. It did take me a long time to kind of adapt and find my ground. And that's because in India, all the bachelor's courses at least, they're all taught. Like you don't have to use your own mind. You don't have to conduct anything. You're just taught the course and then you follow the course outline and then you study for an exam and pass the exam. In Japan, I feel like it's more application based. So when you go, even in your bachelor's, you have to conduct research in the end. So like for 1 year or 6 months, you need to conduct research and you need to write a thesis. So for that, you need your own idea. Of course, the supervisor is there to help you, to guide you, but they're not going to feed their own ideas in you. So I feel like they very much promote independent thinking, which is a little different from my experience in India. So for the first 6 months, I didn't know what to do. I had to find a research gap, then I had to submit a research statement. So I feel like in this case, Japan is a little different than India, but definitely for the better, because now I know how to find a research gap or how to study a problem from scratch and then develop it step by step. I feel like Japanese people follow
Hierarchy,
yeah,
and it's more active learning.
Yeah, it's more active learning. That's true. Very rightly
Okay.
put. Yeah, so this is the difference between Indian and Japan's education, I feel.
So coming to your shortlisting in MEXT Scholarship, what did you do differently so that you got picked compared to others?
Okay. In my opinion, what they seek is like you need to suggest a problem statement in your research theme which is relevant to both India and Japan. So if you can connect these two things, the work you have done in India and why is it relevant to Japan as well. So it's like government of Japan is paying you to be here, and it's a collaboration between India and Japan. So in my interview, they asked me, how am I going to help both India and Japan? So I'll give you my example. In my research theme, I said I want to use data science for social problems. And one of the social problems that both India and Japan suffer from is gender inequality. Even though Japan is such a big and a developed country, it suffers from gender inequality. So I took this one point and I told them that in Japan, I will go and I will research about this problem. And once I learn the policy implications or once I learn how to tackle this problem, I can come back to India and solve this problem.
Ooh.
So if you can find a connect, it could be anything, not a social problem, but it could be anything, a piece of technology, or if you're learning economics, humanities, anything. You need to find a connect between India and Japan and connect it to your research authentically. Don't just
make up some story.
Don't do
genuinely feeling that.
Genuinely feeling that. Do your research. Take some time. Take a day to research about it and then write it. I think that's the key point.
Okay, so we should always find a connect, a common issue between both countries.
Yeah.
And you should be portraying like you are contributing to both the countries.
Exactly.
Like bridging the gap between that and helping
that's
them.
right. Yeah.
So that will make our profile stand out.
Yeah, because you're doing something for both the countries and it's kind of new. Not everybody's doing that.
True.
So I felt like that made me stand out.
That is actually cool because your background is computer science.
Yeah.
And you're working on gender inequality.
Yeah. Yeah.
And using CS again.
Yeah,
using
data science. Yes.
So I think that is what people should be doing, all the students. You should connect your engineering background with some cause or some common problem which both countries are facing, and then pitch yourself in the interview on how you can solve that problem. I think that's a very good hack.
Yeah.
It's not a hack, but it's a genuinely good thing.
Good idea to approach it this way. Yeah.
So let's say I'm applying for a MEXT scholarship. What is my probability of getting selected? Like how many people apply every year and what is the acceptance rate of this scholarship?
So I don't want to intimidate anyone, but it's a little competitive. In my year, 2,500 people applied in total and 25 people got it. So it's like 1:100, but it's not tough. Like I
it's
know
not tough.
It sounds like it, but you need to give it a shot. If you really want to come to Japan, might as well get it. So like at least I gave it like that and I got it. So I feel like if I can do it, anybody can do it. Yeah.
Does your university in which you studied your bachelor's play a role in this?
I don't think so. I think any university is fine as long as you have perhaps a grade point that's above the threshold. So the threshold is 70%, I think.
Oh, there is this academic restriction.
Yeah, academic restriction.
70%.
70% in your latest bachelor's, or if you're in high school, then in your 11th and 12th.
Oh, it is like standard.
Standard, yeah.
70%.
Yeah, 65 to 70%.
Or grade mein 7.0.
Yeah,
GPA.
like if
let's say. Okay, there is academic restriction. Actually.
Yeah, so like that threshold you need to pass, and after that, if you have excellent academic background, then it will of course contribute to your application. But I need to tell everybody I didn't have a very good grade point. I had somewhere like 8.2 something.
8.2 is actually good.
No, but like in my college, people had 9.8 and then 10 CGPA, and meanwhile I was like 8.2. So like I was in the average. It's just that I think, in my opinion, I wrote a good research theme.
Right.
That's what contributed.
Did you also write about your extracurricular activities or the competitions you have won? Did you put all of them in your resume?
I only put the competitions that were related to technical parts. So I was talking about computer science. So I said I did this project, or I did this as a part of this, which contributed towards my passion of using data
Right.
science, like that. Yeah.
Let's say I have some certificates in running.
Yeah.
Does it help?
See, I'm not in the committee, so I can't answer. But if you have it put, might as well get it. Like, if maybe they think that you are good in both studies and extracurricular, and they give you. So
one most important question is regarding job opportunities after graduation. How is the job market in Japan? Is it easy to get a job in Japan with a master's degree?
So I feel like in Japan, public universities are quite renowned. So when I tell people that I'm from Tohoku University, they're like, "Oh, atamaga ine." Like you must be smart.
Yeah.
So I feel like it is easy to get a job in Japan, but there is one restriction, that is Japanese. So a lot of companies may ask you to have business level Japanese at least. Like, you can communicate and you know the technical jargon in Japanese. So if you do know that Japanese, if you put in the effort for 2 years, then definitely the market is much bigger and it will be easier for you to get a job. But if you're like me, if you did not study that much Japanese, like conversational Japanese, then the market shrinks a little bit for you. So my advice for anyone who's coming to Japan and who wants to find a job is first learn Japanese. If you can't learn Japanese, then start early. Like, start from probably 6 months to 8 months before your graduation. Network with the people so that when it's the time for graduation, you already know where to apply, which are the companies that are only taking people with English abilities.
So what level of Japanese do you suggest the student should study for, like N3, N4?
So for daily life, N4 is more than sufficient if you just want to live in Japan. But if you want to work for a company, I would suggest at least N3. And learn some of the technical words within your field. So for me, that would be learning information sciences, technical keywords in Japanese, because like what they want is you often have to interact with the clients in a company. So what they want is you are able to do the presentation in Japanese.
Oh.
So that's the main requirement. They don't even ask for your certification. In the interviews, they ask if you can talk to the clients in Japanese and if you can present your work. So if you already have done that, then like it shouldn't be a problem. So I think N3 would cover that part, the presentation part and talking in Japanese.
What sources do you think Indians can refer freely?
Yeah.
To learn Japanese?
So one is every university offers free Japanese classes that you can take, that I also took. Second are textbooks. So there's a textbook called Tai Kim's Guide to Learning Japanese. I'm recently reading it and he teaches Japanese in a very intuitive way. So if you want to learn grammar, that's a good resource. For vocabulary, I use Anki, where you can just load your vocabulary decks, N3 and flashcards, yeah. So Anki is a great source for that. And lastly, people say that talk to Japanese people, but I don't have any Japanese friends.
Yeah, and Indians don't have that access to talk to Japanese people.
Yeah. But if you do have that, then do that. And if you love anime, then that's a great
You already
source.
know Japanese.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So finally, how satisfied are you with your decision of moving to Japan and studying in Japan?
I am very satisfied. I am very happy I came to Japan. It's a new world, honestly. I'm very happy I came abroad in the first place. You get to learn a lot. Japan is a very different country than India, and it's very clean, very convenient, very easy to travel. So, even if you're not coming to study, come to travel at least once, I believe. Yeah, I'm very happy I came to Japan.
Great. So, thank you very much for your informative answers. I think your answers are helpful to many students who are planning to study in Japan and come to Japan and settle in Japan. So,
Yeah.
thank you very much for your interview. We will hopefully make many more videos.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And
It was nice meeting you.
sure, it was nice meeting you too.
Okay. All the best.
All the best to everyone, and
Yeah.
thank you very much. And do subscribe to Brown Girl in Japan, Shripriya. That is her channel, and she also talks more in detail about MEXT Scholarship in her channel. So if you have any questions related to scholarship and studying in Japan, do watch her videos and comment below her videos so that she will get back to you. So yeah, thank you very much.